to join our conversation. You can call or text us to that number, but we do love it when you call. That way it's a back and forth. However, we do understand that sometimes, for whatever reason, it's easier to just text us. When you call, you'll hear Lady B, who is manning the phones. And we are going to have a guest on the phone in just a little bit. We're going to have Ryan O'Donnell join us, and we want to learn more about the work that he's passionate about. Ryan and I wanted to talk to Ryan in person because I want to give him a hug, if he's a hugger. First of all, can we just talk about that for a moment? If you are a hugger, please know that on top of the pandemic, because nobody knows how to greet each other anymore, is it a wave? Is it a fist bump? Is it an elbow bump? I do kind of like the elbow bump because then it's kind of a dance move. That's why I like doing the elbow bump. And there are people who are really in need of human touch and contact, and they come in for that hug. They come in and they linger and they squeeze every ounce of carrying out, like they just want that warmth. And I had to learn how to hug, and I know that sounds weird, but some of you know what I mean. For whatever reason, for me, being hugged aggressively can be a little claustrophobic. I've grown into it. I have a lot of friends who love to hug, and I do love hugging them. As a comedian, it was always strange to me, has been strange to me for a very long time, that people will just hug strangers. I've sort of reconciled that in my mind, that because they'll see a show, they'll see us perform, and they feel like it's intimate, and they feel connected, and they want to hug. And I didn't realize that it was obvious, and anyone else, that I was a little bit uncomfortable with hugging until my friend Steve Cochran, we were at a show out in Vernon Hills, Zanies, and back when that was still open, and the people were hugging me on the way out, and he said every time someone would do that, I would say, "Oh, we're hugging." Kind of, I didn't realize that was on the outside of my head. I am a survivor of sexual assault, and I took a long time to be able to be comfortable with even just a touch of people touching my arm, my shoulders, my back. I was assaulted when I was very young, and it took me. My mother said that I would not even allow her to come in the bathroom when I was 4 years old to help me with bath time. So it has. I'm now 50, and in the last few years, I've been able to hug. So when I say I want to hug somebody, I always ask. By the way. Ask people. I know it sounds weird and it makes it less natural, but in any situation, unless you are family and close friends, have known each other for a long time, it's still just say, is it okay if I hug you, or I want to give you a hug, and I'll tell you, you still put that person on the spot, but at least you have their consent, because it's not just survivors. A lot of people are just not that comfortable with hugging. So when I say I want to hug you, Ryan, I would first ask if that was okay. And the reason I would want to hug you is because I feel as though in many ways we are so similar. We're going to talk to him at 5:30. Ryan O'Donnell has been working very hard to raise awareness and funding for people who are suffering from oppression, from violence. And I want to make sure that I have all the information right, because there are things that happen around the world that we go, oh, that's really a shame. But we don't really understand what's happening, why it's happening, what we can do to help. And Ryan has been trying to raise the alarm bell. And I do that sometimes where I don't understand why other people aren't as passionate about what I'm passionate about. So he wants to talk to us about the organization For All of Us and the recent attacks on LGBTI refugees in Kukuma, Kenya. And we're going to learn more about that from him coming up at 5:30. And you can go to his Facebook page to learn more, and we'll have that conversation in just a little bit. I was going to have him in studio, but ladies and gentlemen, I am not making folks who are just adjusting to this really cold weather. I when someone says, "Hey, it's a little chilly," I'm like, "Get on the phone. We'll have you in studio soon, and we'll acclimate to the cold weather together." Last night I went to the Botanic Gardens Lightscape, and it's a tradition in our family. We've been going since the boys were little, and it was great. It was in the mid 40s, and Griffin had the day off today for parent-teacher conferences, and we thought, let's go on a night when we'll be able to recover the next day if it's really cold. But it was great weather. Beautiful lights, a beautiful stroll through the Botanic Gardens. If you are interested in going, you've got to make sure that you just make your plans, and don't even make your plans. Go online and see what's left. I have a friend, Lady B, who wanted to start a website called what'sleft.com, and mostly it was for dating. Because he felt like everybody else. My friend Nick Griffin, great comic, he's like, it feels like all the good people are taken. He goes, I need a website called what'sleft.com. for everybody else to find each other. On the phone right now, we have one of our listeners, one of our favorite listeners, Dave from Hoffman Estates. Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Hey, Patty, I figured I better try to get in early today. I didn't try yesterday, but hey, I was mentioning Lady B earlier. It was either today, I believe it was, where on the news thing I seen where that old Kevin McCarthy came out and said that if they get control back in 22, that he's already vowed that he's going to put Boulevard and Gosar back in on their committees and everything that they've been stripped of.
Oh, well, yeah, I would expect no less than that. I would expect much more insidious things to happen in addition to that, though, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to do, just a total slash and burn.
Expect.
And the other day, too, quietly, Senator Patrick Leahy announced he's not running again. So we better, you got to start honing somebody good for Senate, out of, Vermont or whatever.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I'm not sure where he's from, but let's get that done. That's
somewhere up in the far northeast and that, and then, and then, if Trump gets in again, God forbid, but yeah, I'm sure he's, if he gets to Congress and the Senate, because it don't, as they say, history proves that you don't, the party, doesn't usually win on the following, elections. That, he's going to probably be trying to reverse everything, like the infrastructure and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And
Oh, for sure. That's always the thing. It's one thing to get it done, and the thing that we need to do as Democrats is toot our own horn. We've got to be out there talking about what this plan does for families. And I was listening to Tom Hartman, and somebody had called a legislator saying, "Well, I don't have kids, and I'm not married, so I don't need the child care that this covers, and this helps so many families that are struggling. And I don't have, I'm not married, so I don't need these other protections." And he said, "But do you drink water? Would you like that to be clean? Do you breathe air?" Those are the things, and it's not tangible right away, right? So we have to do more than that. We have to talk about all the bridges that are unstable, all the roads that need to be resurfaced, and that has a lot to do with our jobs, with our quality of life as well.
Yeah, like the other week too, Hartman was kind of with about those 13 Republicans, that signed on the infrastructure, and I'm tired of hearing it's called bipartisan, and he's going, but yet he doesn't get down on those 6 Democrats that were still holding out and still holding out. I mean, you get what you can get first, and then you can work from that. In fact, I also heard, I believe it was MSNBC reporter said that on that flight from Washington to Detroit, Biden didn't allow that Rashida Tlaib on Air Force One. Little payback, I guess, for, kind of, if it wouldn't have been for them 13, I don't care what Jones says, if it's part of the sauce or not, he would have been embarrassed. He would not have gotten that.
What do you think we need to do going into 2022 and make sure that we hold on to as much ground as possible?
You got to get down and dirty, just like them. Take out of their playbook. I mean, my God, how bad do we want it? Put it that way.
Sure, but what does that look like? See, I don't I don't know how to.
I guess we got to bring out our worst animal.
Yeah, I mean, having run for office, I know that there are duplicitous and horrendous Democrats, but they seem to be more inclined to do that to each other in races and primaries than they are to do it to each other. I mean, to Republicans. To Republicans, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like I've always said, us Democrats, we eat our own, and we're usually in a circular firing squad.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
It depends how bad we want it. And hey, so you can get to the others real quick. Did you have the guest on that time that did that book, ER Nurses?
That was not my show. No, not ER Nurses. No.
Okay. Oh, that's a good book. I just got. What a good book.
Oh, I'll have to take a look. Thank you for asking.
Just a suggestion. Just picked it up at a Walmart the other day. It was on special. It's new though. I mean, really good. I mean, it's really good stuff. Listen, let me get off so you can get to the others.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great night, Dave. I appreciate it.
You too.
Take care. We're going to take a break here. And, before we go, let me see. We got a text. I'm just yelling across the room from the microphone. I'm like, ooh, somebody texted me. By the way, that's how it sounds in my head every single time somebody texts. I might not always say it on the outside of my head. The squad isn't doing us any favors. We had this conversation on the night of the Virginia, Minnesota, all the elections that were happening in other parts of the country about whether or not the squad or the progressives need to be marginalized. I don't think that, text me the rest of why you think the squad isn't doing us any favors, because we do need the people in there that want to move the pendulum as far to the left as possible, and we get the work done when we can. One of the things that I have learned is in legislation, if you're able to accomplish something for some people, that unfortunately is counted as a victory. We want things to be done quickly. We want justice. And so many things that have been unjust for many years continue to go unchecked. And that's why we have that sense of urgency for getting more done, and you're not helping our cause. And I get that, but I can't hold too much against the people who want to do as much and are as loud about it. I have more problem with those who are intolerant, who don't believe in the truth, who don't believe in science, who are letting kids get sick. I mean, the rate at which kids continue to contract COVID-19 is unmanageable, because these are kids who we don't know what the lifelong effects of having the virus will have on their developing brains. They may not have the most vicious cases of it. Maybe they're not hospitalized. Maybe they're not on ventilators. But the impact this has neurologically, I think, is going to be something that we don't even have a way of quantifying right now. And the rates at which young people, because they were not able to get vaccinated until recently, it's going to be hard to overcome for a long time. Let's take a break here and take your calls and texts when we come back. 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. We'll be right back after this on WCPT 820 AM.
Finding the right Medicare plan may feel impossible, but now it's anything but. With Walgreens Find RX coverage tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than ever. Easier than picking which true crime doc to watch, figuring out that Wi-Fi password, or putting the duvet cover back on. So if you can do those things, with Find RX coverage, you can definitely Medicare. Find the plan that's right for you by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
We expect our information in real time. U.S. Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. U.S. Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 800-730-8405 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check. As easy as, that's 800-730-8405.
If you're looking to purchase a new home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Dahlia, 27, nurse, wanted to purchase a home. Dahlia talked with an online lender who did not answer her questions, so she called her mom for advice. Dahlia's mom recommended she contact the only lender she trusted to help her daughter finance her first home, Team Hochberg. We answered Dahlia's questions, held her hand throughout the process, and secured the mortgage on her first home. Let's review. Dahlia consulted with an online lender who didn't answer her questions. Then, based upon her mom's recommendation, called Team Hochberg, and we helped Dahlia secure the mortgage on her new home. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners' kids secure mortgages on their new home purchases, like we helped Dahlia, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Some got busy, some got lazy, some got creative, some went crazy. Couch potatoes, avoiding respirators, we all got pretty big round the equator. Shopping online, working online, zooming all day, no pants, that's fine. Hiding at home from civilization, here's what I did over my pandemic vacation. In chronological order, more or less, with the non-political songs first, cause not everybody wants to hear what I think politically, and I understand that, but honestly, how could anyone get through the past 18 months without one political thought?
Jonah. Oops about that. like pushing all the buttons at the same time. That song was from Steve Goody from his album What I Did During My Pandemic Vacation. You can go to stevegoody.com to find out more about his music. That's Steve Goody, GOODIE.com. He and Bradley Tassel are working on their Christmas holiday digital show. So I know they had their dress rehearsal last night, and tonight we have our Thursday night virtual comedy show starting at 8 p.m. And I do a segment on that every single week called The Patty Melt. So join us for that this evening. And I also want to thank our friends. By the way, we have if you didn't hear at the beginning of the show, we have a new news online presence. We have Heartland Signal, and at WCPT, we have our great radio shows. We have our great team here, and now we are supported and are supporting each other with news throughout the day. So go to WCPT820.com and you'll see the logo there. And I want to thank Mark Penske for including me on the advertisers page. Find out how you can support the shows here at WCPT, including mine. My info is right there. We would love to have our sponsors join us and show that the conversations that we have are important. And I know some people think, then people will know I support progressive radio. We've talked about this a lot. The amount of conservative and Republican radio out there across the country, across the heartland, is about, I would say, 95% to 5%. So if you support our station, it means that you believe that there should be a balance, that there should be a fairness in our conversations. And this is commentary. My show is commentary. Jones, commentary. Santita, Edwin Eisendrath, we're all commentators. And we comment on things that are based in truth. That's the news. So we start with the truth, and then it's our take, your take, like our listeners, Jim from Chicago, who's calling right now. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind?
Hi, Terry. Voter suppression is the biggest enemy of democracy. These rules are being written. They're written by the Heritage Foundation. The 1% is trying to control the 99% of us. And it's really the direst point now because these legislatures in the Republican states want to control it for 10 years. I mean, they're not even fooling around. They're making districts where it's impossible for a Democrat to get elected. It's only going to cause really turmoil. But the point is, you had Trump talking to the nut with the pillows. He's reiterated again that voting by mail was the worst thing that ever happened. Voting by mail was that's the reason he got beat. But voting by mail, the first time I ever voted by mail was this time. It was the easiest thing. I got it in the mail, put it in, no muss or fuss. I had a couple of friends from California in that governor race. They voted from their apartment and mailed it back in. I mean, we have to get if we had a modern voting system, we get some of the things that we need. These aren't right, left, these are humane propositions. Health care, you name it. These are humane things. These aren't anything to do with being right or left, or they like to use that. Who's the guy that socialism in the 19th century? Marxism. They love to throw that word around, like it makes any sense,
Right.
I mean, humane policies are Marxism, That's the most dangerous thing. We have to get this voting thing passed somehow. I don't know how we can do it, but we have to do it because we have to get money out of politics. It's just, in other words, 1% of the people will be ruling us for God knows how long.
Yes.
And it's only going to cause just a cataclysmic event. Mm-hmm. You can almost feel it. Imagine Spain in the 30s, where the Democrats took over. They're actually called Republicans in those days, and then the Catholic Church got split in half, and then there was chaos. Franco took over as the dictator, and now Spain is back to the democratic policies they would have had in the 30s. So, I mean, these are things that we have to live with. Anyway, Terry,
no, wait. Before you go, Jim, I have a question for you because you brought up several things that all are interwoven into many of the conversations we continue to have and must have. One you mentioned, because I had just talked about our advertisers page and how oversaturated the landscape is in media when it comes to conservative and Republican radio. Because if you're driving around the Midwest, around the Heartland, you'll hear a sermon and a Bible study group on the air, and then right after that is politics. So they sort of blend together in this. This is the sort of background sound to different parts of our country, and there isn't that same sort of level of exposure that Democrats and liberals have.
We're real quick, Jay. In the 80s, when Reagan ran, the silent majority was made up by Protestant voters. And they were convinced that either the end of the world is coming or whatever the method idea they had. But they translated it to voting Republican. They felt that Democrats were lawless and godless, but the Republican Party has used them as a lever, like they do abortion. These are issues that they use. That are trigger words that they use. I mean, and I know that these are written by people that want to control the populace. It's not
right.
It's not comes from the people. It's coming from a certain group of people that want to control us.
Well, and that's my second point about advertisers, right? So when I ask people to visit our advertising page, find ways to either support our advertisers or become an advertiser, because you mentioned Lindell, and I used to work at a radio station where I read those commercials, and I did that for years, and we made it fun, and we're like, buy this, and not knowing at the time, because it wasn't until a couple of years in that I learned how how much the cheese had slid off his cracker when it comes to politics and what he supports, where he puts his money. I helped create that. We need folks, and we don't need a Lindell with drippy cheese on his cracker, but we need more people to invest in these conversations that are accessible, that are for workers, for human rights, for women's health care, for clean air and clean water, because all they have are radio shows about power, owning the other, hating minorities, wanting to cut social services. We need more people to invest in these conversations. That's what I'm saying, Jim.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think one thing that really showed in this election, which is unique, is the American Indian voted almost exclusively for Biden. And we have to keep the American Indian in those states of Minnesota, Wisconsin, etc. And the only way to do that is to show that you're really for the environment. I mean, because they are really environmentalists. I mean, they are, for 10,000 years, that's all they believed in was a clean environment.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why some rich Democrats don't take some radio stations and
they are
higher salaries.
That's why we're here. We need everyone to be on board with it, and we're behind in this game, but it doesn't mean never starting cannot be an option. And that's what we're doing.
Well, anyway, from your mouth to God's ears, and thanks, Dave, for taking my call.
Of course. Have a great night, Jim. Everything we do with our dollars matter. I was downtown. My son Griffin was going to hang out with some of his friends, and I thought, I haven't been downtown. I got a decent parking spot. I'll go for a walk and maybe grab something to eat. And I parked and I started walking around, and I saw a menu. You see in the little glass window, and I thought, okay, but I'm a local girl. What am I doing down here? It's nice to be downtown, but I'm going to go back to my neighborhood. I'm going to get some. I went and got some North Branch chicken. I got one of their chicken sandwiches. They gave me little cups of their barbecue sauce. I could choose between the honey mustard sauce they have and their barbecue sauce. And they gave me a slice of this incredible cake. And I had their chicken tortilla soup. And I was asking them about their holiday plans for next week for Thanksgiving. And I'm wondering what folks are planning to do next week when it comes to whether you're doing all the cooking. Because here's my plan. I'm going to cook for Thanksgiving Day. Our friend Elliot Serrano and I will be on the air on Thanksgiving Day from 5 to 6. And then what I'm doing is I'm pre-ordering what I want to eat next weekend from the Gale Street Inn for Friday night dinner. And then for Saturday, when North Branch Chicken will be open, I'm going to have my food from, I've got the whole thing planned out, my soup, chicken, and I'll have leftovers, but there's only so many turkey stuffing leftovers I want. So Gale Street Inn, it is for Friday for the food that I want to relax you. You know what? The self-care day is going to be all local. So I decided not to eat downtown and stayed in the neighborhood. That's just the way I like to do it. Let's continue our conversation. Ryan O'Donnell, when we come back, is going to join us to talk about what's going on in Kenya with refugees, LGBTI refugees who need our help, and we need to pay attention to what's going on in other parts of the world. More in a moment on WCPT 820, Driving It Home.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Lower your energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
Inbound Eden's bumper to bumper, Church down to the Kennedy merge. Lake Oak Road down to the junction 45, now 17 on the flip. On the Kennedy outbound, 34 to the split, 19 in the express, 55 out to O'Hare. Inbound from O'Hare crawling. O'Hare back in hour 13, 30 is 6 minutes on in from the junction. Eisenhower in either direction is pretty solid. Between 390 and the Circle, an hour and 8. Stevenson outbound stacked up to Central. From DuSable Lakeshore Drive on out to 355, an hour and 3. Now mixed in with that delay at County Line, a crash now off under the right shoulder. The Dan Ryan outbound at 79th in accident. Circle out to 95th and 36. Inbound at 25. Stop and go from 35th on into the Burn. Outbound I-57 heavy off the Ryan down to Sibley. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges.
Walgreens is making Medicare easier than ever with the new Find Rx coverage tool. Compare plans online, over the phone, or in person for free. Find the plan that's right for you, plus low-cost copays by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
This season calls for performance. And when it comes to Porsche, you'll find that and more in every model. At the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park, experience the season's best in our entire lineup. The Cayenne, Macan, Panamera, the 911, and the fully electric Taycan. Special order your Porsche with us today and add some performance to your season. The Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Visit 4Porsche.com, the number 4, Porsche.com.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Full of hope, we make our way down this open road. All regrets are left back in the dust. I'm okay to take the wheel while you draw so near. A time to rediscover and to trust. We needed this ride, waited for so long. Now I just want to make each second last. Your hand touching mine around the narrow curves. I'll do my best not to drive too fast.
That's our friend Chris Jones. You can go to chrisjonesgrass.com for all of his music, and I hope to have him in studio again soon. But I get why people can't join me in studio, and it's cold and getting dark out there. And our good friend Ryan O'Donnell joined us on the air to talk about an important issue that many of us are not paying attention to. And Ryan, you never have to apologize for saying, you know what, I'd rather be on the phone. Everything can be done. Can't this just be a phone call? Absolutely, Ryan. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. No, I really, really appreciate your understanding.
Oh, gosh, yes.
I was thinking at first, I'm going to, do this bike ride and be all fit. And I was like, oh, it's 30-something degrees.
Ryan, that's my every morning. I'm going to get up and do some yoga. Oh, these blankets are so warm.
Right.
That's how I'm doing. I don't know if you were listening to me earlier. I get the sense, we follow each other on Facebook, and every once in a while I get the sense that you and I are such kindred spirits, because there are things that really get to us that emotionally we respond to, and we can't understand why everybody else isn't as outraged as we are. And I see that so much in what you go through, even in your personal life. And I was saying I want to hug you, if with your permission, because we are kindred spirits. And this is something, you asked me to share a video, and I thought, well, I don't know enough to put this out there. I want to be better informed so that when I share something, I can share it in a way that is impactful and meaningful. So tell us about For All of Us.
First of all, I would love to hug you. It seems like it's been so long since I've seen you in person. But yeah, no, I really appreciate it. I do think we're kindred spirits in a lot of ways. So, For All of Us is an organization that is generally based around empowerment and based around just intersectional justice. So it's not just an LGBTI organization. It's not just, that I'm also animal rights activist. It's not just the animal rights organization. It's not just racial equity organization, although all of these components are part of our work. It's really about intersectionality, because myself, as a Black person, as an LGBTI person, as just someone with so many different identities, I felt like there really is no organization that is willing to do, and I don't want to diss other organizations, but I don't think there are other organizations that really do what this organization does. So obviously the video we were talking about, and I really appreciate you for having me on.
I'm posting it right now, so I can say that this is what we're talking about right now, and folks can hear it after we've talked about it as well. So I want to make sure it's available to them.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
The video was with a friend of mine, someone I've been working with on the ground in Kakuma refugee camp, which is in Kenya, country in Africa, of course. And we have, developed a sort of relationship and rapport throughout. I've been trying my best. We've been trying our best to support them. And he wound up being one of the LGBTI people who got attacked. And this wasn't the first time, and he was ganged up by some other refugees who had machetes.
Oh my God.
They sliced him with the intention of killing him. He told me in that video, we've spoken outside of that video, but he's told me in that video, you can see that, they said he didn't deserve to live. And that is the sort of sentiment that a lot of people have, unfortunately, in Africa about LGBTI people. And I also I don't want to, I want to let you get questions in. But
well,
I do.
Go ahead.
I do feel like it's important to note that this isn't some implicit African notion. This is very much a notion that has developed through imperialism and colonialism and just the general exploitation and culture override that has happened to the people on this continent.
And that's what I've been reading is that it's codified. It's in legislation that it's essentially subhuman to be LGBTI, is my understanding. And that, as you said, that's why there are attacks on individuals, because they truly believe that they need to be exterminated. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, I mean, I don't want to minimize some of the progress that has been made, because progress has been made. There have been some, pride parades, and there's been some decriminalization in some countries, but generally, the sentiment of the bigotry is just so heinous and so deep, and it's just it's very unfortunate, because these are stemming from colonial laws, like sodomy laws, that are not laws that were created from Africans so much as created from people who invaded these areas and tried to enforce some sort of imperial power over these nations. And these sorts of sentiments have really stuck, also through the religions that have been imported into Africa, particularly thinking of Christianity and Islam. Right. Both of them have had tremendously negative effects. I mean, there are, missionaries who go and who help impoverished people, but that's why I think for all of us is so different, because so many different attempts to help in the past have also been harmful. So even if, some churches did do something to help poor, they also brought even more stigma a lot of times, and they continued and perpetuated. And these things continue even now. There is a bill in Ghana, for example, that was perpetuated and essentially created by the World Congress of Families, which is pretty much United States and European type organization, type Christian organization, and it's just a hate group. And these are not intrinsically African ideals. And that's why I really think that this is relevant in the United States. This is not just something like, oh, it's so sad that they have to live through that. This is something that we are in some way responsible for, even though largely, our ancestors, for the most in this nation, have caused some of these problems. Still, these are some things that we specifically are responsible for as a nation and Europe. So I really think that countries that now do have, humane or human rights policies and protections really need to step in a lot more and step up.
I agree, and I think that you hit on something where we think that shouldn't be happening in another part of the world. We don't necessarily take into account our own responsibility, and there's so much resistance to saying that. Taking responsibility means admitting doing something wrong, and people don't want to do that. And part of that is complacency, and it does rear its head. Right here in the Chicagoland area, there was a push. There were people protesting at a school board meeting to get rid of a book called Queer Gender, or Gender Queer. My apologies. And it's about this journey of understanding, your identity, and yes, it is about your body parts, but it's become sexualized by Christians because that's just icky and it's wrong and it's immoral, and they were using words like porn. So when we dehumanize, when we other people, it makes it easier to not pay attention to something that's going on across the ocean. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I absolutely think that all of these things are incredibly connected, and it's wonderful that we have made progress, but I also constantly want to tell people, because I get a lot of this back. I'm going to tell you a statement that I get back when I talk about this stuff, that they just need to really stick up for their rights and stuff, and they just won't do this. But there is a completely different culture in a lot of these countries, because their democracies are not as strong. Their democracies are not as they're not as robust. They don't have as much contact with their elected officials. There's not a right to protest in the same degree that we have here. And so saying things like they need to, these activists that are risking their lives to do a lot of these things, like they just need to work harder. Like, these are some of the most amazing activists that are doing some of this stuff. But they, have just a very different place to navigate.
Right. The tools at their disposal, like the accessibility to even, I'm guessing technology or just their own safety. And then people are saying, here are people who are trying to stay alive, who are trying to survive. And we don't understand the parameters of that. And then to sort of overlay that with, well, why don't they just stand up for themselves? Well, it is such a condescending, dismissive, and place of privilege to say those things.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I understand it. I understand it to some degree because, I'm an American and we have this, and, I love America. We have this real sort of audacity about us to get enraged and be like, how dare point do all these things right away. Sorry, what?
No, I lost you there for a second. I got a little bit of fuzz. I'm like, someone's interrupting Ryan O'Donnell's phone signal because they don't want him to speak to the truth. Although, to be honest, neither you nor I would be surprised. Go ahead, continue on your thought.
But no, we have such a sort of audacious nature about us.
Yes,
we grow up with this sort of nature of like. We have these rights, and we're gonna know them, and we're gonna use them, and it's just not like the same in some other parts of the world, and it doesn't mean that they're just not
trying.
Doing
right?
No.
Right. Right. Well, you know what that's like, Ryan? It's like so many people here who, whenever we hear about harassment or abuse in the workplace, people are like, well, why didn't they just say something sooner? Why don't they just stand up for themselves? Because the way the system is structured, it's not intended for those people to stand up for themselves. It's intended for the people in power to maintain that power.
Yes. And so, no, I completely agree with you. I think that because we have, now I say this to all people, but I know that a lot of the stuff is I think needs Black people. Like, it needs Black people to really commit to this, because I know that African Americans have. We have this sort of hiatus in our culture that has, because so much of our history has been stolen away via slavery, and so much of it is unknown because we don't have that connection. So a lot of African Americans tend to just like sort of adopt either American culture or they adopt like that everything African is right. But unfortunately, the stuff even in Africa right now isn't entirely African because it's so much from globalization and just imperialism has had such an effect that I know a lot of African Americans wind up saying we should stay out of this. We shouldn't be doing anything in like these other nations. We should let them handle this. But we're not staying out of it. Like, the bigots are not staying out of it. So it's just absurd to say, like, oh, the fight or the causes for justice should stay out of it. Because the bigots are going and perpetuating these laws to further the sodomy laws that are already on the books. Sodomy laws from colonial era are being furthered it's being furthered even farther in some countries. So,
we do need to pay attention. We are talking to Ryan O'Donnell with For All of Us, and you can go to forallofus.africa/donate to donate, but you can also find out more information about the organization. Ryan, can you hold on for another segment? I've got to take a quick break here and continue our conversation as we head into the last segment. Work for you?
Absolutely.
Excellent. We were talking to Ryan O'Donnell. Again, go to forallofus.africa, and you can also follow their Facebook page. Hold on, let me make sure I'm doing that. I did. I am liking that page. I am liking the work that you do, and also I love the work that you do. More in a moment on WCPT 820.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
It might just be the most underrated form of exercise. I'm talking about walking. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Walking is free, and you can do it almost anywhere at almost any time. It can help you lose weight, lower your blood pressure and cholesterol, can reduce your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Studies have shown that walking can also improve your memory and cognitive capabilities, boost your mood, lower stress, and you don't need 10,000 steps a day either. More recent research has shown that you get a lot of health benefits with about 4,400 steps, and they really level off around 7,500 steps a day. When I was researching my book, Keep Sharp, Build a Better Brain at Any Age, I discovered that just about the best thing you can do for your health is to go for a walk with a close friend and talk about your problems. It's a win-win-win. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Napa know-how. When you buy the Napa bag for 99 cents, you'll get 20% off 3 or more items. No other bag saves you 20% on wipers, premium oil, headlamps, and more, which makes the Napa bag the best bag in the world. Sorry, handbags, man bags, punching bags, bagpipes, and even you, bags out of the eyes. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating locations does not include taxes and fees. Advertised sale price not available in some states. Offer ends 11/30/21.
Staying healthy isn't easy, especially during the holidays. Watching your diet, staying active, managing stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and effortlessly adjusts to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Bring proven quality sleep home for the holidays. It's our ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed. Only for a limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820 AM, and we're driving it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, and we're joined by our guest, Ryan O'Donnell, on the phone with us. He's with the organization For All of Us. You can go to forallofus.africa. He's also the former outreach director for State Representative Lindsay LaPointe of the 19th District. And Ryan, someday we will do an entire hour on what that was like. You and I have some thoughts, I'm sure. And by the way, Ryan, just full disclosure, I've talked about my campaign and some of the horrifying things that happened. And, you know, I think what drives me in what was through that situation, through that campaign, and what drives you through so many things is that sense of fighting for justice. And when we can't get people to have that same sense of urgency, it's very hard to manage sometimes, isn't it, Ryan?
Yes. Definitely. I think that I was trying to play a much more diplomatic role, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I guess I'm doing air quotes, radical, but now I'm just like, I've started my thing so that I can just be radical. So I can just be well, here, this is totally not even about the 19th District, but I had someone text talking about the squad, right, that they're hurting Democrats. But we need you, Ryan. We need you. We may not be able to get to where you are. I'm a Democrat. I try to get as much done, but folks like you that are fighting for that justice, we're not going to move the ball at all if we just say it can't get done. That's where I'm coming from. Yeah. I'm like very much a pragmatist, and I've been doing activism in so many different ways with so many different organizations that I've gotten to the point where I understand when like someone is doing something that is it may have the right intentions, but it's just not going to be effective, and it's just kind of useless.
Right.
So I get that. I very much get that, and I'm all about doing things that are actually going to have an effect.
Right.
But I'm just at the point now where I'm done, pretending like I'm not like fiercely for like animal rights or something. I'm the person who will post and who will call, meat murder. Like that is
not only that, and I want you to know that I think about you, and so I don't know that it's helpful. This isn't going to make you feel better because it means that I know better, and I'm not doing better. I've seen you post about if it's not enough to just for my own health, but the health of our planet. I mean, you are. I've talked about how Republicans are ruthless, and we need to be relentless. And you are relentless, and I love that about you. That's what we need to be: is to keep saying, "Look, just admit it, say it out loud, right? Say that you know that you are doing the wrong thing." And I do the wrong thing when I eat meat, and I know it, Ryan, and I need to stop. That's where I am.
No, but that is really, honestly, that is the first step. When you can acknowledge that cognitive dissonance between your, ethics and your values and what you're actually doing. And then, I think from that naturally flows your actions coming into alignment with that. Because the people who generally say like, oh, I was vegan for a month, like their ethics weren't there, so they couldn't keep doing it. So it has to start, I think, generally, and this isn't just with veganism, but just with any sort of like cause or activism, you have to start with your actual ethics, and then your actions just naturally will start to gravitate towards that.
That's incredible. That's really a great way of putting it. And I think it takes acknowledging it, right, and finding those moments and saying, that's a really good point. And you look, even if you say, I know that, and I'm still going to do the wrong thing, but to be able to say that, and so I think that's where people are often coming from. And you mentioned pragmatism as for Democrats, a lot of folks say, well, that's too much to try to get done right now. We've got to go with what we can. Yes. However, we also need to keep the people in the with us that are willing to push for more, that wanted more, demanded more. Otherwise, otherwise we're always just going to be practical, and the real hard, heavy lift is never going to be accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
For justice.
Exactly. It takes all of us, right? It takes all of us because that's where the power is, in all of us. It's not in any singular individual. Like, there's no power in Joe Biden other than the power that people invest in him and the power that people invest in his ideas. So if we are not, to some degree, thinking about how we can actually accomplish these things, but also thinking about what things we need to accomplish, then it's, what's the point? So we definitely, we need to continue to cooperate.
I agree. I've told people about the video, and I've posted it on my Facebook page and shared it to the live stream for WCPT 820. Is there anything you want to make sure folks know about for all of us before we end the show tonight?
I think that, our website isn't all together right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go to actually forallofus.africa/donate to donate. Okay. Right now it's in maintenance. But I really am excited about a lot of the things that we have going on. We also are looking for more directors for the organization. So reach out. You can message the page if you're interested in that also.
Excellent.
But please donate. It makes a big difference. Thank you so much, Patty.
Of course, I'm going to the page to donate right now, everybody. Just I like to do this in real time while I'm talking to folks about it, and I thank you so much. And I next time we get a chance, I will grab you from whatever train station, or we'll go get something to eat before or after the show, and have another conversation both before and after. Sound good?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course. Have a great night, Ryan. I'll talk to you again soon.
You too.
By the way, my husband just texted me. He loves that. It takes all of us because that's where the power is, in all of us. So I love that you've said that. And my husband just sent that back to me to remember it. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye, everybody. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Esmeralda Leon will join us on the air in studio, and followed up by Whiskey and a Cookie on my Facebook page. Lady B, I hope you feel well. Have a great night. Stay warm, everyone. And take care. Rick Unger Show is up next. Bye.
Do you suffer from bleeding fissures, hemorrhoids, IBS, Crohn's disease, or colitis?